Hi guys, how you doing? Today I'm making a video to just say it one more time, as I said it before a couple times. The world is coming to an end in the shape of terrible events. You can take it however you want to take it, but that's what's happening. You know, there's all sorts of talk about geoengineering and the weather being all messed up because of people playing God. You know, all sorts of scientists and all sorts of agencies of our world, and you know, corporate conglomerates, giants, greedy people who want to rule the world, the elite, Freemasons, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, name them. It doesn't really matter at the end of all. What matters is that none of this would have been happening had you not been so cruel in your daily life, had you not been so oblivious and arrogant, expecting things, being entitled. That's what the majority of you are. That is exactly how you are. I've been put on this earth, on this plane, you know, this reality, this domain, if you want to call it. It's pretty much a domain because it's a virtual space. I've been put here to witness these things and remind. I don't want to say warn, because warning means like, you know, you're dumb, I'm smart, and you don't see it coming, I do, ha ha ha, so I warn you. Sure, you could take it that way, and it could also be like that. I mean, I don't know. Look, I invested my whole entire life into understanding truth. I've gotten to the bottom of it, no matter how pretentious that sounds, but I did, you know. I did found out, I did realize, I have awakened to the point where there is no further to go. Yes, I can claim that because it's true. Because I've experienced dimensions and levels that you cannot get any deeper than that. Because anything that's deeper, that's behind it, that it's so abstract, it is so completely you know, too big to ever be able to comprehend it or experience it, even with your own being. I'm not talking about reason. None of these things that I experience have anything to do with reason, just so you know. With reason, you won't get far. With the mind, you won't get far. You can only go so far with mind, reason, very limited tools to operate with. These things that you can experience are only through your being, and then you can see them, meaning you can know them. You already know them, a lot of you, but they're not realized. Knowing something, having a sense of it, or actually realizing it, and then awakening to it, it's a big difference, you know, because it comes to practical applications, sorry, not implications. Practical, maybe also implications, but practical applications in daily life, in your every moment-to-moment life. That's why that matters. So, yes, mind, reason, I always tell you, your mind, your reason are shielding you from understanding these things, are shielding you from experiencing them. And if you cannot experience them, if you're shielded from the experience of it, then can you imagine how impossible it is for you to realize that they are there and how they function and what they actually mean and represent in our life, in our, you know, sphere of consciousness, and more so awareness than consciousness. I always repeat, there's a huge difference between the term awareness and consciousness. A huge, huge term. I mean, a huge difference between a vast gap between the two, because they do not mean the same thing. You know, I always explain, consciousness has to do with your body, awareness has to do with your being. Your being and your body are one, but they can be separated. Alright? They can be separated in the sense of how you process information and what kind of information is accessible to you to process or to be able to process, because some information it's impossible to process it through your material, illusional self, illusory, I don't even know how to say it. Delusional self. no, it's the illusory self. I think that's the word. And you have to dig deeper in order to get there and actually understand, process something completely different that you otherwise would not have any access to at all. So, with that being said, I had experienced a few years ago. It was actually at the very beginning of 2020, and I made a video. I was actually crying in the video, crying because I felt I don't even know what to say. I felt such devastation. I felt such misery of those that do not see and what awaits for them, which is extremely downright horrific. No movie, I mean, some movies came close, but yeah. So if you have watched any events, what's going on in the world, you must still be deep asleep to be consoling yourself that, this has always been happening, it's not that bad, we're just doomsday talkers, trying to do the fear mongering and fear porn and all that stuff. Look, listen, you can fight these as much as you want. You can get everything ready, you can have all the food in the boxes ready, you can go into a dungeon trying to be ready for this. This is not it. You can't fight this. You cannot fight it. You can either become one with your pure intent and start living that way, and if you just start now, I don't know if you have enough to bridge that gap that grew in the time that you let pass. You see, that's the problem. I already said the time is finished. There's no more time. Now you just live on credit. It's a loan you got. And now you're spending what you don't have for something you don't need, for something that's not going to help you. So fighting this is the wrong tactic. All this has to do with whether you are aligned with the actual true purpose of your being or you're not. Now, this alignment doesn't happen in a day. I mean, sure, you can realize some things in a day. You can. But if you've been sleeping deep asleep, if you've been deep asleep up until now, trust me, there's too much to process, there's too much to realize that you'd be able to get away with if you live somewhat carelessly and arrogantly up to this point, or even up to the recent times. This is not something that opens up just to anybody that just wants it. You have to more than want. You have to be willing to be open to pain. You have to be willing to be open to, seeing yourself, your flaws, seeing yourself, as the dark character that you like to point fingers at. See? If you point fingers at, these, that, outside, this one is that, this one is this one wants me like that one wants me like this, they're all wrong, they're, sabotaging me, it's their fault, I would have been already, further ahead, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. This doesn't happen, okay? This has nothing to do with the actual reality of who you are and how you function. You had all the time possible. You had many of us reminding you. Many. I won't say there's many of us in the absolute scale of how many people are in the world, but there are us strategically placed. We have been sent and strategically placed on this earth to work certain areas, to work certain fields, and help the rest of the people to realize and take another path, take another, go use a different way of seeing things, living, but comfort, ignorance, constant search for pleasure and bliss got you nowhere, got you into this trap. That's what it is. It's a trap that you landed in. And I will exclude myself here because I'm safe from this. I'm 100% safe. I have nothing to worry about for what's coming. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Not me, not my wife, not my offspring. Nothing to do with that. None of it. So, yes, talking to you. To you, whoever you think that, you're hopeful and you're thinking I'm just, negative and, I'm just like to preach the doom and gloom and all that stuff. Not at all. Listen, I would hey, I'm the biggest fan of yours where you actually willing to change and did things differently instead of mocking people like myself, mocking all sorts of things that were telling you and signs that were coming to you, ignoring, being arrogant, being entitled to to rule the world, to stay here, to do as you please, and then expect things to just always be there for you. No, I'm not a fan of that, but I am your fan. Whenever anybody wants to go deeper into that, truly understand, I'm your fan. Number one fan. I wish everybody would drop that crap, drop their act, and just get with this. Start living differently, having mercy, understanding life, go away from distractions in order to get to the point of understanding and awareness. I would be your biggest fan. I would root for you. I would do anything that you would get there if I saw that there was a chance. But in most of you, I don't even see the potential. I don't even see the will. I don't even see the interest. I don't even see not even an ounce of understanding. Because you deluded yourself that you are that important, that you don't need to care about the creatures around you, that you don't need to care about what you're doing, that you don't need to care about our machinery, political, social structures, that you don't need to do anything because others will fix it for you. You just, maybe need to go circle a name on a piece of paper and drop it into a ballot box, and that will do. That will do. And somehow you're convinced that these other people, these leaders that are presented in the media, and somehow you're either against one or against the other one by having absolutely no understanding and reason to be against one or the other. What's this guy doing? So this is what I'm talking about, you see? And I'm not a fan of arrogant people. I'm not a fan of entitled people. As a matter of fact, I prayed many times for your destruction. Not prayed, I demanded it. I commanded the forces to come and destroy you. And I'm seeing the result. And that's simply because you have never showed the interest, you have never showed the will in all this time. That you are that you're even ready, that you're even responsible enough to respond, that you're responsible enough to take this upon yourself to actually do something about yourself and your ways, and not yell in with the crowd, and not jump on the bandwagon of every stupid trend that the brainwashing went. So, with that being said, I wish you good luck. However, there's no luck in this, because you guys had time and you didn't use it well, you didn't use it wisely, and so the end is coming. If you think that things can go back to normal, you think that things won't happen, and then I'm just preaching some stuff because that's what I want to see, yeah, I would say you're deluding yourself into your self-importance. And because of this self-importance, you drove this destruction to your doorstep. And now that it's coming, you will cry for help, of course, as usual. This happened many times. This is not the first time. We are constantly getting into this, what they say, reset, because it's actually resetting. And then we start afresh, we start anew, and from not completely from scratch, but almost, because things will be so horrific and so terrible that very few of us will survive. And we will. A few of us will, because we're supposed to. Because we will carry on the new generations. We will start everything, we will organize the world the way it's supposed to be organized, and hope that it can remain that way and continue to go on and flourish into this actual advanced civilization, not this barbaric barbaric society that it's brutal and barbaric in every way possible. I notice that a lot also when I say that you should not eat animals, and I get a lot of backlash, as each one of us that mentions these things, we're brainwashed, we're trying to destroy you for some reason. I don't know how that destroys you. I don't know, you believe all sorts of books, but you don't listen to your heart. You don't look into your heart to understand that you're cruel, that you're barbaric, that you're brutal. And now when the brutality and barbarism will actually come to you, because that's the only way to destroy you. Otherwise, you will find a way to survive, but you will not survive this. This is not meant for you to survive. Not on the level of existence you are on, most of you. So, yes, you will cry for help, you will weep. You will weep for yours, for your dearest ones, for yourself, mostly. You will weep like a child. And it's not going to help you. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to care. Because what you have shown so far is that you don't care. You didn't care. You're ignorant. And more than that, you are arrogant. You are entitled to the world that never belonged to you. This world was given to you as a gift. And a gift in certain circumstances can be taken away. And in these circumstances you have created, you will try to entangle and involve the rest of us to pay your debt now. We won't, because we haven't earned it. We haven't earned your debt. We are going the other way, and you're going your way. Since the beginning of 2012, or soon after, society got separated by certain concoction that people took. Now, this concoction doesn't stay only in people that they took. So you have to understand, this concoction will travel, and is traveling. They are spreading it, those that took it, to the rest of you. So, through sexual intercourse, through exchanging of bodily fluids. So even if you have not taken it and you think you're safe, but then you maybe have sexual intercourse, you exchange body fluids through some other ways, with somebody that didn't take it, but slept or exchanged bodily fluids with somebody that did take it, you're not safe. You will still get it. It travels. It's now in the DNA, rooted in the DNA of those that took it, and it's now rooting itself in the DNA of those that will allow themselves to cross that and engage with those in ways where bodily fluids are exchanged. Yes, so this is a perfect way of how you want to destroy a bunch of ants and you give something to a few and they take it home, they give it to the rest of them. So because you don't know that and because you will not take me seriously, most of you won't, that will be your downfall. And the downfall is definitely going to happen because I already know. It doesn't matter what I tell you. Just like it didn't matter so many years what I was telling you. To most of you it didn't. And so this time it won't matter either. I could tell you more stuff right now and you still wouldn't believe me. So I'm not going to waste more of my time. Because, why? I tried many times. I devoted my life for quite a few years to try and help. Really try. Trying in all sorts of ways. Physical, mental, spiritual. I've been trying and didn't really get anywhere. The rest of you who actually have somewhat trusted, listened, paid attention, some of you got somewhere. I would say, maybe halfway, at least somewhere. Whereas some, very, very, very few, actually got somewhere by that. But that's very few. And the rest waved me off and waved us, the rest of us, off and went their own merry way. So I don't know what you actually expected when somebody comes and tries to explain to you that, listen, these certain ways are not the ways, and if you please just look deeper into it, you will understand what you're doing to yourself. We want to help you. Our sole interest was not to help ourselves. We were here to help you. Do you understand what that means? I put my life basically on hold. I didn't live my life like many other people. I didn't get to enjoy all the physical, material pleasures just because this was worth, in my opinion, in the sense of the collective, it was something that was worth taking a risk, worth sacrificing some of the material, pleasures and comfort, just so that I could, in many, many different ways, try to reach many different, variations of you. Okay, so if I spoke too complicated in one way, I tried to readjust. I listened to myself and seen, am I actually clear? If I was not, if I had a sense I could have said this better, I went on, next time I said it differently, more clearly. If I couldn't reach you in spoken word or through blogs, I went and wrote on the internet. If that couldn't reach you, I went out and sponsored out of my own pocket books, mailed them to many people around the world that I met, encountered, so they would spread these things, talk about it to each other, so they would have some material. If they would forget what I'm saying, they would have it in the written word. And I have done what I could have done. All of it. And I never expected you to repay me. I never charged for it. Never will, never would. All I expected is of people to take it seriously for their own good, and with that, doing good for themselves. And doing good for themselves would contribute for our own common good. Well-being. That's all I ever cared about. That's what I still care about. But time has run out. And when you see these things coming, and those of you who already are witnessing really terrible, catastrophic things happening, right now my country was hit, or the country I was born in, got hit by terrible, terrible storms. Never before in a lifetime had anybody witnessed anything like that. And that's just the beginning. That's them, and other countries have been hit by all sorts of stuff. And it will continue so until everything is pretty much demolished. Yes. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but don't think it's not coming, because it is. And don't get ready for it, because it's too late. You can't get ready for it. Like I said, you can't fight this. You can accept it, and you can accept your role in your contribution to this destruction, because you've been very destructive with your ways. And even though you have many tools, especially now with the internet, you have so many tools, you can shape your views much more broadly, and you may choose not to. That's why there's no more excuses. And because there's no more excuses, the mercy ends. Whenever there's no more excuses for the way you live, the way you perceive things, the way you choose to respond, the way you choose to engage, then that means you're fully responsible from that moment on for everything that's there.